Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. My guest today is Joy Morphy, a mobile yoga instructor who helps busy entrepreneurs with mom use yoga as a practice tool in the middle of real life. Joy turns yoga into bite-sized, realistic rituals, supportive movement for bodies, carrying businesses, families, and the invisible mental load that comes with both. She specializes in stress relief, sustainable flexibility, and helping women feel more at home in their bodies. No fancy poses required, actually. So, yeah, Joy, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's a pleasure to have you here.
It's nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me to join
Uh,
you.
All right. So yeah, why traditional self-care fails? That's what I want us to talk about, why it fails as high achievers, right? So you say traditional self-care often fails high achieving women. Why is that?
I feel like high achieving women just have so many goals and so many things on their list that I'm sorry, my dog is bothering me, as you
Oh,
can
it's so
see.
lovely.
He
Wow,
wants a
that's
pet.
cute.
Um, Anyhow, yeah, high achievers tend to put self-care at the very bottom of their list. And this also goes for parents. And it could be parents who are have a full-time job on top of caring for their children, or just stay-at-home moms. They don't really think about their own well-being. It's the kids, everybody else first. Um, so I think that's why moms are listed as high achievers as well, because raising children is not an easy feat. And there are often, you know, needs that trump your own. And so that's why I think high achievers fall into this list of, not doing what they need to take care of themselves.
Okay, wow. All right. So, how does, chronic fight or flight show up, in business and motherhood, basically?
Um, I feel like fight or flight, it has to do with if there's a problem that arises, you're either going to solve it, figure out what you need to do in order to accomplish the goal, accomplish the project, get everything done, or you're going to give up.
Mm.
And most people give up when things get difficult. And I don't think that should be. I think if you really want something, if you're trying to reach a goal, you have to fight and do whatever it takes to reach that goal. Never give up, no matter what the stakes are, no matter how many people tell you you won't be able to do it. You have to keep going and keep striving, because entrepreneurs, the most successful people in the world, dealt with adversity and were able to overcome obstacles before reaching their goals.
Wow. Okay. Um, you said entrepreneurs are the most successful people in the world. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's making
yeah.
me think like I think I'll go into entrepreneurship because I want to be successful.
Well,
Okay.
you know what? And to add on to that point too, though,
Mm.
um, everyone's definition of success is going to be a little different, right? So an entrepreneur, although they may have multiple businesses, they work in different industries. That's what success looks like to them. But you can only carve your own path. You can't follow everybody else's path. So that's something very important I want to stress.
Okay. All right. Well, I was going to ask you, then you said it, right? So what would
Yeah.
you define success actually?
What would I define as success? When you have your 5 year, your short-term goals and your long-term goals, how close you can reach to get to your long-term goals. That's what I feel like success is. You make little obstacle, or not little obstacles, but you create little micro goals that lead up to your big goal. So if you can step forward and keep going forward with whatever you're doing in life, whether it be trying to graduate college, trying to get a job in an industry that you love, opening your own business and working for yourself, whatever those things may be, as long as you get closer to that end goal, then that's what I think success truly means.
All right. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's good I've taken your own notes on success, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
All right. So yeah, we're talking about the traditional self-care fields, right? So for high achievers rather. And then so I want us to talk about what it looks like when, what are the physical signs that tells that someone, their nervous system is overloaded, right? What do you think are the physical signs?
Physical signs of overload is if a person looks tired, looks like they have a lot of things on their mind and they cannot concentrate on a specific task. I think that's what overload looks like. Also, um, if you're trying to concentrate on something and you have a hard time concentrating in the moment, or you're forgetting certain things, certain tasks or deadlines that need to be reached, or you look flustered. It all could be in the physical appearance, or it could also be the way somebody reacts, like socializes, because there's certain social cues that indicate if somebody is overwhelmed or feeling, like they've reached their limit. So yeah, also just the way somebody personal appearance, like body language, for instance, if they're kind of slumped over, or can't keep themselves upright, sometimes that's a indication of fatigue, that they're over, haven't slept enough. So there's different signs and cues, and I think over time, you won't be aware of it, but you can see it in other people.
Right. Wow. It's funny because actually I think I do see these signs in some, high achieving people, right? It's actually common amongst people. And over here, they don't even know that they're going through such stress, right? They've commonized it, and I think that should also be spoken about a whole lot, actually. So yeah, let's talk about, yoga for real life.
Yoga for real life. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I started really diving into yoga when I was pregnant with my children. I have four children.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and so
Sorry,
I've,
can I say this?
oh,
You
yes.
look very young. Beautiful.
Oh, thank
You
you.
look young and beautiful.
I sometimes don't feel that way, so I
Oh, you
appreciate you.
definitely do.
Appreciate you saying that. No, but yes, I do have four children. And every child that I've had, my practice deepened. Deepened meaning it changed. Like at first, it was more of the physical aspects of yoga that gravitated me towards the practice. And then as I had more children and got a little bit older, it was the mental, spiritual practice of, slowing down when I need to, honoring my body when my body's feeling tired, um, giving myself grace for all the activities and all the things that come along with raising children. So I like to weave life into my teachings. A lot of people that I teach are very stiff. They sit often, so they have tight hips. So we're always concentrating on the lower half of the body, stretching the legs, the hips, the feet often too. A lot of people who are on their feet, like who work at restaurants or who work outside, gardeners, who else? Retail, like people who work at the shopping malls, or um, who are on their feet most of the day. They also need to take care and unwind and stretch their feet, or get off of their feet, and allow your ankles to even rest as well. Um, and so I like to stress that yoga is a mind body practice. It's not just the physical. There's many different aspects that people gravitate towards. And so I try to teach. I teach all of that.
All right. So yeah, what's one simple movement, listeners can do daily to at least reduce burnout, basically?
I think meditation, although it's not necessarily so simple, but it's just sitting in stillness. You don't have any electronics in front of you. You're merely just sitting on the floor so you can feel grounded and connected with the earth. And take a moment to just inhale and exhale. You don't need to close your eyes. It might be helpful to concentrate if you do. And you just take some really deep breaths and you count. You inhale, count for two, and you exhale, count for two. That's one really simple yoga trick that I like to teach, especially you're in the moment and you're in a stressful situation, maybe at work or you're in a competition. Maybe if you take just one deep breath, it really does do wonders in providing clarity in the moment.
All right. Well, when you were talking, I was trying to practice it, inhale, exhale.
Yes, absolutely. Do so. It might help. Yeah.
Okay, well, I will actually. So yeah, my podcast centers around young adults, right? And mostly women also. So I would like us to talk about, wellness for women, So how does stress, impact leadership and clarity, especially
Okay.
in women? Yeah.
Can you repeat your question again? What's
Okay,
the
so the stress, how does it, impact women in leadership, and how does it, you know, try to like make us live clarity, like we are not clear on what we want, right? Because of stress.
okay. So in terms of women in leadership and being stressed, it's common knowledge that women have to work 10 times harder, right, in leadership
Yeah.
roles to be where they're at, whether they're juggling,
Mm,
raising children at the same time. We carry a lot of loads. And sometimes I feel like women tend to internalize those
mm,
loads, feeling of guilt that they aren't that atypical woman who's at home, um, staying at home and just raising children, and
mm,
not working, could be a huge guilty feeling. Um, and also, just if you're a high achieving woman, you tend to have these very lofty goals. Lofty meaning, the sky's the limit. You reach one goal very easily and then you're off to the next.
mm,
And you don't have a ceiling. Ceiling meaning you don't have a point where you're going to be content in where you're at in life. I think that that's dangerous. That can be really dangerous. And I'm still working that on myself, but to be happy and content with where you're at, where how far you've reached your goals, and really just living in the moments versus thinking too far off into the future. I think there needs to be a balance where, yes, you can think about the future and all of these great things great accomplishments that you want to achieve, but also come back to reality and say, look, am I working too hard? Am I working too much? And as a parent, am I taking my work too far to the limit where I'm not paying attention to my children and I'm not paying attention to my loved ones?
mm,
Is a very important question. And I think that would relieve a lot of stress in women if they just take a step back, and look at
mm,
how far they've come versus where they need to go.
mm. Actually, wow. All right.
I hope
Okay,
that
so
answers your question.
yeah, it does actually. It does answer
Okay,
my question.
great.
Taking the time to reflect on what we are doing and try not to get burnout, right? Okay, it
Exactly.
does answer the question actually. So yeah, your
Exactly.
message has been powerful, right? And it reminds us that wellness doesn't have to be extreme. It just has to be sustainable, right? So yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I feel like there's a misconception about flexibility, right? So what's the, biggest misconception about flexibility?
Oh, unmuted. There we go. Sorry. Flexibility. I
Yeah.
think you have to be flexible in life. It's a way of life. Um, Things are not always going to go your way. Things will not go according to plan, and you need to be flexible and learn how to shift with the ebbs and flows of life. Um, so I think it's very important to learn how to be flexible, and that's not just physicality, like physically being
Yeah.
flexible, but being flexible in terms of mindset. Um, you might receive an opportunity that you think, oh, well, it's not that great. But if you take on the opportunity and you obtain skills there, it can be
Mm.
carried over into another job, for instance, or an even better opportunity later on down the line. So I think that's why flexibility is important, that you just never know what can happen in the future. So why not try now and be flexible and see where life takes you?
Mm. Okay, wow. All right. So yeah, thank you so much for that. It has been amazing. And I have this rapid fire segment I want us to just go through right now, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
would you pick hustle or harmony?
Harmony.
Okay. Wow. All right. So stretch or strength?
Stretch.
Okay. I felt like I knew what you were going to say.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, breath or movement?
Wow. That's a hard one. I think I would rather do movement. Yeah.
Well, okay. So discipline or flow?
Discipline.
And yeah, lastly, it's productivity or presence.
Presence. So if
Oh,
you asked me a couple years ago, I would have picked productivity. But now as time has progressed, I definitely live in more of the presence. Yeah.
okay. All right. So yeah, thank you so much for this. It has been amazing. And where can, my audience get to learn more about you and what you do?
Oh, great. So I am on joymurphyyoga.com. So www.joymurphyyoga.com. I also just started a Substack. It's just my name, Joy Murphy. And on Instagram, I'm the letter J, Murphy Yoga. So those are the three spots for now. And then you can learn more about what I do. Um, just basically on my website, and I'll be posting, more areas of, where you can subscribe, for instance, on my Substack, or eventually maybe YouTube. I'll create some videos, but one thing at a time for now.
All right. So yeah, thank you so much for this. This has been amazing. And yeah, thanks for tuning in to Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, make sure to share to someone who you think might need this. And also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episode. Thank you, Joy. My name's Sek,
Thank
and do have a wonderful day.
you too. It's nice to meet you. Thank you.